just the simple act of preparing a meal has far-reaching consequences for Salome, her family, her community, for Africa, for the world. All across cities in sub-Saharan Africa, women like Salome still don't have access to an affordable, clean method of cooking. Charcoal is bankrupting urban households. Families like Salome's spend up to $500 a year on charcoal. Burning wood and charcoal for household cooking is now responsible for more than half of all deforestation across sub-Saharan Africa. And all of this just to cook a meal. There has to be a better way. And there is a better way. The G-Kokoa is an improved charcoal stove that uses 45% less charcoal. It cooks at a higher temperature and it reduces smoke particulates and carbon monoxide by 65%.
Niseme nini, nimeona wamekuja kuangalia maisha ya mtu wa kawaida. Nilikuwa kama makaa, nilikuwa nanunua gunia mzima na maliza mwezi mmoja. Na saa hii kile imenisaidia sana juu inamaliza miezi 3. Asante sana Yesu. Asante.
The Jikokoa is manufactured in Kenya. Over the past year, Byrne has built up a team of 56 people in Nairobi, and together we've launched East Africa's largest cookstove manufacturing facility. We have over 130 distributors now in Kenya, including all of the major supermarkets. But a large portion of our consumers need to buy the stove on credit. So that's why partnering with Equity Bank, which has 8 million customers, is an enormous channel for us. Over the next 10 years, Byrne is on track to produce and sell over 3 million improved cookstoves. This will save $1.4 billion for families like Salome's, who will be able to invest their savings in education, food, and economic expansion. And the sale of these improved cookstoves will effectively save the planet 123 million trees and 21 million tons of carbon dioxide. Byrne Manufacturing is a social venture that has a profound impact on the health, environment, and household economics of the world's poor.
Hi, so are you inspired? Did you like that? Come on, are you gonna join me? Woo! Yeah! Nice. It's hard to beat that video. It really captures what the Byrne story is, but I'll try to do my best. So, yeah, my name's Peter Scott. I'm the CEO of Byrne Manufacturing and the Executive Director of Byrne Design Lab. 20 years ago, I went to Africa and I saw deforestation from charcoal production, and I got down on my knees and I wept. And I said, I'm going to devote my life to trying to save the forests of Africa. So that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years. Oftentimes as a consultant. In 2011, I started Byrne. Over that period of time, I've been called the Thomas Edison of cookstoves, the Pope of cookstoves, the Mick Jagger of cookstoves. Of course, you know, what they all have in common is they're really old white dudes, but still that's great. So, you know, the cookstove realm has a really bad reputation. People think, oh God, please don't tell us about the cookstoves. Didn't we already say that that was like a failure? Like, get on with it, do something else. Well, you should really care about cookstoves because the impact that cooking is having on the planet is hard to wrap your head around. So right now, cookstoves are killing people. You saw in the video, over 500,000 people this year are going to die from breathing smoke just in Africa alone. 4.3 million people worldwide are going to die just this year alone from smoke from indoor cooking. So, but maybe you say, well, Peter, I don't really care about people. What about trees? Okay, do you like trees? If you like trees? Okay, check it out. So more than 50%, 52% of all deforestation in Africa is coming from people cooking on open fires and traditional stoves. So okay, maybe you don't care about people or trees, maybe you care about money. So money, people are going to spend over $14 billion this year on burning charcoal alone. By 2020, it's going to be $16 billion. The scale of it is sort of hard to wrap your head around. In the West, when we think about charcoal, we think about backyard barbecues. This is not tailgate parties that is making it happen. It's people cooking simple boiling water, cooking beans, rice, whatever. So it's, and then in terms of the impact, it's 30 million tons of charcoal each year. By 2030, it is going to be 45 million tons. And when the population of Africa doubles by 2050 to 1.8 billion, it's going to be a massive economic, environmental, and social crisis that we're going to be faced with. So we got to figure out cookstoves. How are we going to do it? Well, Burn's approach is to really start with the user, which is really straightforward and obvious. Take somebody like our friend Mary Wahoo in Kwangari. So she needs to cook food for her family. What's she going to do? Well, the easiest and cheapest thing is to walk down the street and buy a bag of charcoal. That costs her $1.10, okay? So then she burns that. That probably maybe lasts for 1 day. And then she's going to spend about $400 a year just on burning charcoal. So she's actually paying more for cooking than we pay for cooking in the West. It's kind of shocking. She's a relatively poor woman who lives in a slum. So that's where burn design and burn manufacturing comes along, is we spent 3 years designing the world's best, most fuel-efficient charcoal stove. It's now the top-ranked charcoal stove in the world. And so this stove is a revolution for Mary, because now she uses 56% less fuel, so she's saving about 50 cents a day, which adds up to $200 a year that she can then invest in clothing, food, medicine, a new business. So that's really transformational for Mary and for all of the people that are burning charcoal in urban areas throughout sub-Saharan Africa. People often say that cook stoves don't work because maybe it's a giveaway project or something like that. This project is really a commercial project. It's not an NGO project. People walk into supermarkets and they buy the stove. And it has real health impacts. So 54%, Acumen did a study, 54% fewer sick days per home for people using the stove. And in terms of emissions, it's ranked as a Tier 4 stove. So you probably don't know what a Tier 4 stove is, but it's on the same level as LPG. So if you use this stove in your home, you're exposed to the same class of emissions as you would be with LPG. So that means that can address the real issues of death and disease from smoke inhalation in sub-Saharan Africa. Yeah, so in the last year, or the last 18 months, we've sold over 100,000 stoves. And the last 2 months, we've sold 10,000 stoves per month, each month. And again, we're not giving the stoves away. So people have spent about $3.4 million to purchase the stove when they go to supermarkets or whatever. And the savings they've had have been about $13.3 million in savings just in Kenya alone. And that's about 340,000 tons of wood. Yeah. And then, as you saw in the video, we're making the stove locally, which is actually great economic sense because it's actually cheaper for us to do that, unlike our competitors that maybe would make the stove in China. So we're actually to make a cost-effective product, but we're also able to make it locally, and we employ over 100 people now in Kenya, and more than half of them are women. So something like 60% of our staff are now women. And we make about a stove every minute, so about 600 stoves a day. Yeah, so, and again, it's a commercial product, so it's sold through a bunch of different distributors, 180 distributors. And a lot of our sales happen through Equity Bank and M-KOPA. And so the finance piece is also critical. So, with either M-KOPA or Equity Bank, you can purchase the stove for about 44 cents per day, but then you're saving 50 to 60 cents per day. So that stove actually pays for itself on the first day of use. So that's important for a lot of people, but also a lot of people can just pay cash because they recognize the economic value of the stove. Yeah. I think one of the things that's also exciting about Burn and from an investor or donor perspective, is that we're really super committed to what happens in Kenya. We are there for the long term. We're not here for a year. We're planning to be here forever. So we really care about our customers. So we have 40 warranty stations that we've set up across the country. We have a 1-year warranty, and that we collect this data. So we have about 30,000 of our customers have signed up through this SMS EcoMobile registration. About 70,000 pre-customers. So we're able to really interact with our customers, find out what they need, if they have an issue with the stove, if they need more training, if there's a warranty issue. So all of that is really important for us to be integrated and to be seen as really a Kenyan business. There's other people out in the space, of course. So there's a few competitors that are made offshore. Right now, we're really outselling them, 10 to 1 or 20 to 1. So there's other people in the space, but the burn concept has really, won the lion's share of the market. And we spent, the last 3 or 4 years raising over $7.1 million. To do manufacturing in country is really expensive, so it requires a lot of upfront investment. And so Acumen has been a key investor for us to make this a reality. Recently, we've been discussing with Unilever about doing a partnership to launch a wood stove to support smallholder farmers within their supply chain. So there's something like 500,000 smallholder farmers that are all burning wood. So we've designed a new stove that we're launching, hopefully in partnership with Unilever soon. And from here, the plan is just to scale this, replicate it. I've got 40 years before I die. My goal is to launch these new manufacturing, roughly 40, depending on how much bad food I eat when I'm on the road in Kenya. But so the plan is to launch these new manufacturing hubs that can then replicate the successful Kenyan model. Yeah, and then it's not just about charcoal, it's about providing the needs for people that are cooking in Africa. Right now there's 1 billion people, 2050 there'll be 2 billion people. What are they gonna use? So we're designing a number of different products at our lab in Seattle to make these. So a new ethanol stove, new pellet stoves, new wood stoves. Somehow we need to address the challenge that we're facing. And even if we just did this G-Kokoa charcoal stove, even if just that was the stove that went throughout sub-Saharan Africa, it would save $5.5 billion per year, on the people that are spending this $12 billion, $14 billion on charcoal. Well, there's some quotes about how great we are. You can read them. I'll email it to you if you want to see it. But I think it's, for me, one of the things I'm most proud about is that burn is really helping to revolutionize the cookstove sector, but also how people view the cookstove sector. Because people, as Jacqueline said, she looked at 200 cookstove companies before they selected burn, because people said, there's this amazing promise, but where is the delivery? And now in the world, burn is really being seen as the people who are delivering and who have a model that can scale to transform the world. Thanks. Yeah.